Hello booktube, hello book friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. This is a weekly update video just on what I've been doing book-wise in the last week. It's been book-wise quite interesting, but it's been a busy week generally, so I haven't actually read a lot, although I've been thinking about reading a lot. So let's sort of cover that. The channel seems to have lost a few subscribers. I'm not sure whether that was because of my ranty video, what was it, the genre tag that I put out on Tuesday, or whether it was the thought of me reading Dickens for a month has put people off. I don't know, but yeah, we'll as I've said before, the subscriber numbers are kind of incidental, but you are kind of bombarded with them a little bit in YouTube at certain points, particularly when you go in to respond to comments and things like that. So I do kind of notice that the numbers changing, and obviously this week not for the better, but there you go. Anyway, what have I been reading this week? I've been trying to concentrate this week on, I think because of the Read What You Own challenge, I was reading very quickly and reading short books and sort of burning through books really quickly. This week I haven't, partly because I haven't had a lot of time, but I've been trying to kind of slow down a bit and kind of think a little bit more about what I want to read and what I've been reading. And you know, it's the last month of the year, which is going to be, you know, fairly busy for certainly the last kind of like week or so with Christmas and the New Year and so on. So I'm like, let's just slow down and take it easy. And that means I've been reading, I've read a couple of books, finished a couple of books rather, but I've had 4 books on the go this week, sorry. And that's been kind of intentional, and also just as a result of the amount of time I've had. So let's talk about the books I've finished reading first, and then I'll talk about a couple of other books which fit in to my kind of reading plans going forward as well. So the books that I've finished this week, both of these are in the Bernard Cornwell's, there you go, just as I hold it up it turns itself off, Bernard Cornwell's Sharpe series, the kind of Napoleonic War hero, who is the kind of lead and main character throughout the stories. I think this is something like Sharpe's Siege. I think it's book 18 in the series. I can't remember now. There are a lot. And I'm getting towards the end now of the books that he's currently written. I think I've got 3 more to read, and I think there's another one coming next year. I think that's his kind of plan. I don't know quite how old he is, but he's not producing them as rapidly as he once was. So this series has been around since the 70s or late 70s, early 80s, I think. Certainly I was very aware of them as a kid. You know, you had quite spectacular covers of battles and things on. So it's kind of sort of thing that, you know, a kind of 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old boy would be kind of like, oh, look. But I never read them for some reason. I don't know why. I've only been reading them recently, in the last few years. And that's also despite the fact that they were made into a very successful television series with Sean Bean in, which again I think was in the 90s, I want to say. I'm not sure about that either, but yeah, anyway. So this is, as I say, I think it's book 19, and this is Sharpe's Siege, which is essentially Sharpe at this point has reached the rank of major. So he started out as a private soldier, and has risen through the ranks to major, which is fairly uncommon for the time. So this is the kind of what would it be, 1800s, and back then, if you were an officer in the army, you'd basically bought your way in. You were from the upper class, and a gentleman, and would have bought your commission. You wouldn't have risen through the ranks. It's very unusual for somebody to rise through the ranks then. I mean, not that it's that usual now, but it happens much more frequently nowadays than it would have done then. So he's risen. He's now a major, so which basically means he's kind of commanding companies and battalions. And I think it was in the previous book, his colonel had been killed, so he's kind of acting up as a colonel, but not in. He's not got the rank. He's just got the responsibility. Anyway, he is sent on a mission with a company of riflemen to basically take a fort and then forge inland to find out what is happening. And this is at the time towards the end of the Napoleonic War, when it's thought that the French are going to rebel against Napoleon, and basically, his kind of mission is to take the fort and then see what the mood of the general populace is. Basically, he gets there, takes the fort, although there's some complications around. Because he has to travel with the Navy to do it, and a group of Marines are initially sent to take the fort, but are about to be ambushed. And basically, these are quite formulaic. There's always kind of a battle, a bit of a wider story, and then another battle, and a bit more, and then a final battle kind of thing. They're fairly formulaic, but they work. And the reason I've been reading them this week is because they are relatively light reading. They're not too taxing. You don't need to think about it. It's just kind of a book you can kind of read, and it's a story. And given sort of how busy we've been this week, this has been ideal for kind of reading. So yeah, he ends up essentially being kind of abandoned, and then having to hold the fort that he's taken against fairly overwhelming odds, until he manages to make his escape. And yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it. It was good fun. It wasn't, it's not a 5-star read, but it's not, it's not a bad read either. And then I followed that up, as I said, I think, I can see now that was 18, and then I followed it up with the 19th book in the series. There's my Kindle's awake now, which is Sharp's Revenge, and this follows directly on from the previous book, opening with a duel between Sharp and basically the guy who abandoned him in the fort, who was not considered to be a gentleman. And this goes right up to the end of the first bit of the Napoleonic War, where Napoleon is exiled to Elba, and this is kind of a bit. It doesn't have it starts with a battle, and then there's a bit more of a story, and there's a bit more kind of about Sharp's personal life and so on. So it's, again, a light read, something to keep my mind occupied during the evenings and in bed at night. And again, good book. So I've got now, as I say, I think four books to read in the series, and then I think there's another one coming out next year, which I'll probably read at some point. But I think they're one of my I think I've talked about these in comfort reads. They're the sort of book that I can pick up and read, and I've got a few of them in a series, and it's sort of thing that just I don't need to think about, and it's characters that I'm familiar with and so on. So yeah. So what else have I been reading? The other things I've been reading this week, a chapter a night or whatever. The first of those is The Return of Sherlock Holmes. And I think I've said in a previous video, I am revisiting all of the Sherlock Holmes stories, kind of in the order that they are, or sort of, yeah, the order that they are published or recognised as being published in. So this is The Return of Sherlock Holmes, which is a collection of stories. So I'm kind of reading a story a night, a day, every couple of days. Not got sort of very far, so I've not been doing it all week. And yeah, I enjoy these stories. This is one of my very, very favourite kind of authors and very, very favourite characters in Holmes and Watson. So yeah, this is a pleasure. And this is The Return of Sherlock Holmes is post, if you know your Holmes history, it's the post Reichenbach Falls. So he comes effectively back from the dead, although he was never dead. But it was at the time when Conan Doyle had got fed up with the character, killed him off, and then resurrected him because the public didn't want him to kill him off. So yeah, so reading that. And then for A Dickens at Christmas, having already read A Christmas Carol this year, I'm reading the other book in this edition, which is The Cricket on the Hearth. And again, I'm just reading, one chapter at the moment, which seems to be one chapter a week. I've only read the first chapter, and I think there's only 4 or 5, a bit like A Christmas Carol, split into 5 parts. So yeah, this will take me up to Christmas, I would think, and then maybe read something else Dickens wise, either after that, between sort of Christmas and Twelfth Night, as part of A Dickens at Christmas. And just to plug that, the next part of my reading of A Christmas Carol comes out on Monday. So whatever date Monday is, 9th of December. Yes, 9th of December. So if you have been listening to that, thank you. I've had some compliments and a few views, so it's really good to know that some people are finding it good, which is pleasing. So yeah, let me know if you're reading Dickens, what you're reading. I'd be interested to know, because you don't have to just read a Dickens for Dickens at Christmas. You can read anything. So let me know. I'll be really interested to hear what you think. And then I said after my Read What You Own challenge, I was going to take a trip to our local book exchange box as my kind of reward for completing my 25 book challenge. And I did that, and I took a couple of books with me. I thought I'll take a couple of books, because sometimes you can go and not find anything, and sometimes you can go and find several things. And I thought, well, if it's a book exchange, so the idea is you take a book and leave a book. And so I thought I'll take a couple of books with me, and if there's a couple of things there, then we'll see what we come back with. And I did find a couple of things. And again, in the kind of light reading vein, I found a Lee Child, a Jack Reacher book that I haven't read, so I'm looking forward to reading that. Sounds quite interesting. One tragic event, 2 witnesses, 2 conflicting accounts. One witness sees a woman throw herself in front of a bus, clearly suicide. The other witness is Jack Reacher, and he sees what really happened. A man in a grey hoodie and jeans, swift and silent as a shadow, pushing the victim to her death before grabbing her bag and walking away. Reacher follows the killer, not knowing that this was no random act of violence. It is part of something much bigger, a sinister, secret conspiracy with powerful people on their take, enmeshed in an elaborate plot that leaves no room for error. If any step is compromised, the threat will have to be quickly and permanently removed. Because when the threat is Reacher, there is no plan B. So looking forward to that. This would be the first one of his books that I've read where it's written with his brother. So I think it's his brother or brother-in-law, Andrew Child. And so yeah, we'll see, how we get on. I'm not a great one for reading as I say, this isn't really pastiche because he is still involved. Unlike the next book that I picked up at the Book Exchange, which is a Clive Cussler, again not one that I've read, and I think this is one that is not. It was written after his death, so he's probably had little to no involvement in it whatsoever. It's basically being sold on his name. But this is Ghost Ship. So in 1909, the steamship SS Waratah and its 200 passengers and crew hit a storm and vanished without trace, never to be found. Over 100 years later, Kurt Austin barely survives a failed rescue aboard a sinking yacht, but is convinced one of the passengers may not have gone down with the boat. Digging a little deeper into this mystery, Kurt finds evidence of other leading scientists who have recently vanished. Who is behind these disappearances and what do they want? From Monaco to North Korea and Madagascar, Kurt and the Numa team piece together clues that link the loss of a steamship a century ago with a deadly conspiracy to bring the world to its knees. But are they too late to stop it? So again, I'm not expecting this to be terribly taxing. So at some point be reading that. But my next read, the book I'm planning to read next, is this one, which I need to hold this. It's very difficult. It's got a fantastic cover, but it doesn't look like it's coming up very well on the camera. This is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, and I have read this before, but quite a while ago. This is the 10th anniversary edition, which I bought a few weeks ago, before my Read What You Own challenge started, because he's recently published. So there are 4 novels in this series now. There used to be 3, and then he published a 4th one to coincide with the 10th anniversary and new editions of all the others. And I've got all of those now as books. Previously I'd only had them as ebooks, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat myself and buy them as real books. And as I say, the 4th book, which is Absolution. So there is Annihilation, Authority, Acceptance and Absolution in the series. Now, Absolution is the new one, which I haven't read, but I don't think I remember the series well enough, although I know I enjoyed it and I know I found it fascinating and confusing at the same time. So I'm going to reread this and the volumes 2 and 3, and then read volume 4. That's my plan, over the next however long it takes. Probably won't read them consecutively. I'll probably read one, read something else, come back, so that's, but I feel like I need to read them because there is quite a lot of lore and mythos, for want of a better term, in them, which I think I won't remember that. That's the sort of thing that I won't remember, and there'll be things that I think, from what I understand of the series, and particularly the 4th book, is he ties up a lot of what happened in the first 3 books in the 4th book. So I think I really need to reread them, is basically what I'm saying, so that I can understand the 4th book properly. So yeah, that's coming up. Really looking forward to reading this again. I hope I find it as good as I did before, if not better. Having read it previously, hopefully there'll be things that I'd forgotten or missed in the first reading that I'll pick up this time. So I'm going to start that today, because I finished the last Sharp book yesterday. So start that today if I've got time. And that's it for kind of the books I'm planning to read. I think that's it for this video. I don't think I've got anything else to say. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you're reading a Dickens for Dickens at Christmas. Next edition, as I say, will be out on Monday the 9th, which is today, Saturday, so a couple of days' time. And if you have been, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.